If there was one thing that would keep you alive in the Star Wars universe, it's this single piece of advice. Don't go into hallways. Like ever. I know it's an inconvenience, but there's like 100% chance that most of the time you will probably die when someone goes beast mode in it. In fact, in Star Wars, some of the best and most cinematic moments are when people go Super Saiyan and just take out anyone who stands in their path. Today, I wanted to sit down and count down the top 10 most overpowered beast mode moments in all of Star Wars. We've now had 46 years of amazing Star Wars content to give us so many cool battles, fights, lightsaber duels, you name it. And thankfully, we haven't seen it all. The Star Wars universe is so big, we're always being amazed by a new character or a new fight or a new cute little creature like Baby Yoda. And out of all those moments, there's just these tiny things that happen, like the Vader Rogue One hallway scene, that just stick out, you know? They create core memories when someone goes beast mode like that. When it gives you chills and goosebumps and makes you squeal with happiness, that's a good sign. So we're gonna sit down and look at the top 10 moments that have made me do that and have gotten me hyped. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm Michael J. If you're not subscribed, go down and force punch that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all the fun new videos I've got coming soon. And now that everyone's subbed, let's start off this list with probably one of the most hype moments in all of The Mandalorian. At number 10 is deepfake Luke Skywalker. Yes, the moment we saw his X-Wing on screen, we knew we were in for a treat. Goosebumps instantly. I genuinely don't think that anyone was actually expecting him to go so hard though. I was so hyped while I was watching this scene. Remember back when this episode came out, Mando had won his fight with Moff Gideon, but Dark Troopers were about to break in and capture our heroes? But then, one lone X-Wing flies onto the ship and Luke Skywalker in his Return of the Jedi outfit walks in looking like Mr. Uncanny Valley himself and absolutely destroys each and every one of these Dark Troopers. Luke rips through them in one of the coolest, most unexpected saber scenes we've gotten since the prequels when Nick Gillard used to do the fights. This scene has so much emotion just from Luke showing up alone and then seeing him use all the Jedi training he's had up until now to demolish these new troopers was so cool. We need someone going beast mode against, I don't know, a squad of Stormtroopers next. Oh, hey Boba, that's right, number 9 is Boba Fett versus the troopers on Tython.
I'm here for the armor.
Again, another OG character who made a beast mode debut for their first appearance since the original trilogy. And just keep in mind, this is before they mellowed him back out with the Book of Boba Fett. Our hopes were still high when we saw this. He came on screen and starts kicking butt in his Tusken Raider clothes and breaks a Stormtrooper's helmet in half with his gaffy stick. So cool. If you follow the channel, you know I'm always saying we need more Stormtrooper armor breaking apart, and this delivered. And on top of this, he left mid-battle and returned suited up in his OG armor. This was so awesome. He drops a thermal detonator and then just one-shots all of these troopers. I mean, this is the first time Boba has had his armor on in live action since, what, 1983? And it looks amazing. Boba is just manhandling these Stormtroopers. He shoots them, punches them. I mean, once they start retreating, he takes down both the troop transports with one rocket. Now, this is the Boba I wanted in the Book of Boba Fett. What happened? But that's besides the point. Speaking of points, after Qui-Gon Jinn is stabbed in the gut by Darth Maul, the following fight leads to my number 8 pick, Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan Kenobi. The first fight begins when Darth Maul confronts our main heroes and reveals his double-bladed lightsaber for the first time. Remember that when this movie came out, everyone had only seen people wielding single-bladed lightsabers, so this alone made Darth Maul legendary. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fight Darth Maul with lightsabers and backflips, which is still probably one of my favorite saber fights of all time until Darth Maul stabs Qui-Gon in the gut. Man, it's sad Qui-Gon's death was totally irreversible. No force power could heal lightsaber stab wounds. Darn. But while Maul and Qui-Gon are fighting, Obi-Wan is watching, stuck behind a ray shield, and after his master goes down, he's just flooded with emotions, rage, anger, sadness. Once those ray shields go down, Obi-Wan just lets everything flood out. So emotionally driven, trying to avenge his fallen master, most likely going against the Jedi Code. He uses all of this to fight Maul with everything in his heart, just letting it fuel his blows. This is what I was talking about with Nick Gillard running the stunts. This whole fight is incredible. Maul eventually gets the high ground, but Obi-Wan quickly shows him the benefits of detachable legs. I mean, this almost makes it feel like Jedi are pulling their punches because with just a little extra emotion, you get this peek at what would happen if they used the full extent of their powers. No Sith would stand a chance. Well, I guess they would become Sith. What's that, Vader? Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll talk about some dead Sith next, because number 7 is Luke versus Vader in Return of the Jedi. Luke and Vader had 2 fights during the original trilogy, and this one definitely is when Luke first goes beast mode. He just goes absolutely crazy during this scene. He learns that half his friends are walking into a trap, and the other half are on a suicide mission to attack a fully operational planet killer. Palpatine basically tells him to give in to all of this hatred he's feeling and come to the dark side. Luke strikes at old Palps, and Vader immediately retaliates, starting their second clash. And this battle is incredible, so much emotion, but at one point, Luke tries to stop. And then when Vader threatens to go after Leia and try to turn her to the dark side if Luke doesn't turn, it just flips a switch in Luke and he lets everything out, emotions completely driving him. He swings at Vader so hard, just hit after hit after hit, just beating Vader down, almost accidentally killing him and joining the dark side like Palps wanted. But once Luke sees Vader has a robotic hand like him, he kind of stops and realizes that he's becoming a silver monster just like his father, which was crazy. But speaking of silver monsters, I need some help, guys. There's this guy in all silver, and I think he thinks he can take his kid to work with him. It's crazy, because in my number 6 pick, he decapitates a guy on the job. Yes, you heard me right. The Mandalorian's Darksaber bounty from episode 5 of The Book of Boba Fett is coming in 6th. I mean, how can I not have this scene on the list? It's just crazy that it was the coolest part of the entire Book of Boba Fett. He went into someone else's show and completely stole the spotlight. This was the build-up to seeing Mando again for the first time in over a year. Seeing him back to bounty hunting, but with the Darksaber, was awesome. He opens with the first line he has ever said in his show.
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Then he gets into a fight with these aliens and uses the Darksaber to kill all of them. To cap it all off, he kills the head guy by cutting him in half through a table and then cuts his head off the body. This scene just went so hard. It was cool to see him back, and it showed that Mando could hold his own even in a weaker state. This was such a cool fight. But you know what? It's not a 2v1 battle between 3 Sith. That's right. Up next is Palpatine versus Maul and Savage Opress at number 5. Oh my gosh, when I saw this episode, I nearly lost my mind. In the arc leading up to this, Maul was revealed to be alive and had a rematch with Obi-Wan Kenobi and built up a huge crime empire on Mandalore. Then Darth Sidious gets off his ship and immediately kills 2 soldiers without the slightest bit of remorse. Maul senses this strong presence as soon as he walks in, and he ignites his red lightsaber, and Savage, his brother, ignites his double-bladed red lightsaber. Palps takes out 2 of his red lightsabers, and they have the ultimate Sith showdown until, spoiler if you haven't watched Clone Wars, Palpatine stabs Savage with both of his lightsabers. For how much I hated him, this was so sad to see. Savage dies in Maul's arms and Maul becomes furious. He takes out the Darksaber along with his red lightsaber and fights Palpatine single-handedly. They fight, but Palps easily gets the upper hand. He force throws Maul into the walls and the floor and blasts him with Force lightning. Sadly, there's no Vader to save him from the lightning, and Maul just becomes a puppet for Palpatine. Up until this point, they've been building Maul up, and especially Savage, showing just how freaking powerful they are, defeating anyone they meet. Until now. Palpatine walks in and destroys them both single-handedly, brushing it off his shoulder like it was nothing. That's another thing. During this whole fight, Maul and Savage are fighting for their lives, and Palpatine is just evilly cackling while kicking their butts. I mean, Palps rarely fights, but this really made it feel like he owned the title of being one of the most powerful Force users in canon, at least. Now, real quick, I want to talk to you about the sponsor of today's video, Raycon. Raycon makes the premium audio quality you need at the perfect price point for everyday use. Need to listen to a podcast on your morning run? What about something to listen to your hype music to get you in the zone to work out? Or maybe you need some earbuds to watch some movies on a plane. Raycon's got you covered. It's premium audio at the perfect price point so you can build great habits without breaking the bank. And I love that with their earbuds, they have actual physical buttons you can press for accessing their features, whether it's changing the sound profile on the go, or activating awareness mode, or even answering and hanging up calls. Most impressively, their earbuds boast up to 8 hours of playtime, which is crazy. That's way more than I ever need at once, which I love. Personally, I've been using them a lot to go wires-free editing while I'm on my laptop out working. They fit nice and snug, and I can hardly tell they're there. They also come with a bunch of extra custom gel tips that you can swap out so you can find the perfect fit for your specific ear holes. If you're ready to buy something small with a big impact, you can go down and click the link in the description box, or go to buyraycon.com/MichaelJ to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. Thank you so much to Raycon for sponsoring this video, and thanks to you guys for checking out Raycon. Alright, now back to the video. Hey, does anyone hear that? Okay, number 4, you knew it would be on this list somewhere. Darth Vader in the hallway from Rogue One. This scene is awesome in so many different ways. Imagine you were this rebel in the hallway. Most of your friends just died on Scarif to get you the only hope at destroying this indestructible empire ruling over you. When all of a sudden the power goes out, shutting out all the lights and barely closing the door except for a little gap, it goes completely dark, and all of a sudden a piercing red light grows at the end of the hallway, and you instantly know you and all of your buddies around you are going to die. Might as well just play dead at this point. In fact, right after Vader ignites his saber, the rebel guy's face right here says it all. I mean, Vader moves through these guys like butter. The perfect debut of Vader fighting with his red saber since, again, 1983. He just slices into them with his lightsaber, and he definitely snaps some necks here. The rebel stood no chance. This scene was one of the best parts of Rogue One, definitely the one that caught us the most off guard and made the most grown men squeal with happiness. Not going to lie, this scene almost undermines Vader in the original trilogy because Vader doesn't turn any hallways into horror movies there. It was kind of a bold choice to put such a high-octane Vader scene so close on the timeline to the first 3 movies because the action was a little more slow-paced in those. It was 40 years ago. Could you imagine Vader on Endor at this pace just slicing through Ewoks? I mean, next up there will be a lot of slicing too. Unfortunately, it's clones. At number 3 is Maul's Venator rampage from Season 7 of Clone Wars. Maul finally gets the spotlight to go beast mode. This scene comes after we finally see the Siege of Mandalore where the war ends with Maul's capture. Right as Order 66 is happening, Ahsoka lets Maul loose on the Venator to cause a distraction. And Maul knew Order 66 was going to happen because at the end of the previous episode he was trying to rat out Palpatine. Man, if you guys only listened to Maul, all the Jedi would be fine. But Maul starts running around and goes on an absolute rampage. He's probably taking out some of his anger on all these troops. All of his hard work on Mandalore was just uprooted and destroyed by these clones, and now's the time to make them pay. I mean, he decapitates 2 troopers with a panel from this wall, crushes 2 troopers to death with panels, and amputates another one's arm to steal his comm. The people that say the Clone Wars is a kid's show are usually pretty quiet about now. Plus, during this entire fight scene, he says no lines and makes almost no sound. It feels very similar to the Maul we got in Phantom Menace. He was scary because he was so silent, so mysterious, focused on his mission, killing anything standing in the way. Maul is a legend, and this scene cemented him that even post being cut in half, he was still someone you should be very afraid of. Speaking of, do you know another guy you should be afraid of? Mando. That's right, Mando gets 2 spots on this list, and now he gets my number 2 pick. By the way, if you have your own beast mode moments in Star Wars that stuck out to you, put them in the comments, and maybe I'll make another video. There's so many awesome moments. I know there's gonna be a lot I didn't have time to mention in this video. And if you've made it this far and you're enjoying the video, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's totally free and it helps the channel grow so I can keep making fun videos. I appreciate the support. Now, this might just be another one of my favorite Mando scenes yet. In Chapter 3, Mando turns Baby Yoda in for the bounty and then realizes it was a huge mistake. He gets his brand spanking new silver Beskar armor and starts obliterating Stormtroopers one by one. He takes so many out with his guns and gadgets, it's insane. At this point, he feels like a Batman figure in the Star Wars universe. Of course, the one time the Stormtroopers have good aim, it's against the guy with bulletproof armor. Go figure. At one point, he's totally surrounded and he lets those sick little wrist rockets fly out. I love these things. Once he gets outside, every bounty hunter in the vicinity attacks Mando to get the bounty for Baby Yoda. But even when Mando is surrounded by 20 plus skilled bounty hunters, he's able to stand his ground. He uses his flamethrower, his gun, his phase pulse blaster that literally disintegrates bad guys before they even know that they were shot. In episode 2, he used it on the Jawas to disintegrate them, and now he just lets it rip on the bounty hunters attacking him. He kills a bunch of them, and then the Mandalorians show up to help out. It's just such a cool fight, and Mando does this all one-handed because he's holding Baby Yoda in the other. Mando is the guy you don't want to make angry or you might end up missing a face, but he still doesn't have the number 1 spot on our list. Before I give my number 1 pick, here's some honorable mentions that I also love. Anakin versus Dooku in Revenge of the Sith. Anakin again letting a little bit of the dark side come out in this duel. I loved it, but I think he got a little ahead of himself, if you know what I mean. Also, Kylo Ren versus the villagers on Mustafar. I know it's only a split-second slow motion shot because this movie was so poorly paced, they had to rush through so much in the beginning, but it was so cool to see this planet for the first time since the iconic duel from episode 3. I wish this scene lasted so much longer and we got more context, but still, it was awesome. Last honorable mention is the Old Republic cinematics. I have never played these games, but the cinematics alone make me want entire shows greenlit immediately. Just animated shows by Blur for any part of Star Wars, I'll take it. They absolutely killed every single one of these. They're in their own league and almost raised the bar too high, I feel like, for what the gameplay seems like, but who am I to say? I still need to play them. But now for my number one pick is Rey and Kylo versus the Praetorian Guards. What am I saying? Get that trash out of here. My real number one pick is Starkiller, the apprentice of Darth Vader himself. Starkiller's entire existence is literally the definition of beast mode. The dude is so OP, they've tried multiple times to introduce him to the Star Wars cinematic universe and have failed because he's so overpowered. Starkiller, or Galen Merrick, is the main character of the Force Unleashed video games. Listen to his story. He's found by Darth Vader between the events of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, so Prime Vader, and he's trained personally by Vader and becomes insanely powerful. He's betrayed by Vader and he turns to the light side. I mean, he literally crashes a Star Destroyer just by using the Force. He 1v1s Vader and taunts him that he broke free of his control from his master when Vader himself can't do that from Palpatine. Him and Vader duel until he gets the upper hand and slashes Vader's throat and then destroys his armor and his lightsaber. He uses the Force to attack him with everything in the room, and then Palpatine arrives and they fight with equal power in the Force. At one point, he absorbs Palpatine's Force lightning and walks towards him until he can grab him and they explode. As he dies, he uses all this pent-up Force energy around him to disintegrate an entire squad of Stormtroopers and nearly kills the Emperor. Thankfully, Vader creates a clone of him so he can return in the second game with a massive graphic overhaul, thanks again to Blur with the cinematics. And this game really delivers. You fight a massive Gorog creature that is the hugest Star Wars creature you've ever seen. Such a fun fight. You have this Force repulse that sucks energy in and lets out a shockwave that literally disintegrates everyone in the area, including the Stormtroopers' armor. It's definitely one of my favorite Force moves of all time. It's so satisfying. I think even now it would be awesome to see a live action or Blur animation Disney Plus series. I know Sam Witwer would 100% still be down to do it. The cinematics for Force Unleashed 2 were so ahead of its time and still hold up to this day. If Blur handles them again, I would love to see a 6 to 8 hour Starkiller series like Mandalorian. I mean, I would much rather have that over the prequels. It would really make for an epic show, but knowing Kathleen Kennedy, she'd probably change it so Starkiller is Palpatine's second cousin or something. I hope one day we can see Starkiller show up because he literally is the definition of beast mode. The only reason we haven't seen him in Star Wars is literally because they can't figure out how to realistically make him work. Everything he's done up to this point is so unstoppable. He would win against anything canon, so it'll be really interesting to see how they work him in if they ever do. But thanks so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments what your favorite beast mode moment in Star Wars is. I will see you in the next video, and remember, the Force will be with you always.